Okay, guys. So here in our sample source code, using system line here means that you are using or we are using the system library in our project. So ito yung magbibigay ng useful classes and functions like console, write line function, or method. Okay? So the using system.security.cryptography, so ito naman yung gagamitin natin for a predefined class which is system.security.cryptography namespace. So ito yung gagamitin natin in the same key for encryption and decryption. And for this one, using system.text, so sa C# kasi, itong statement or itong line na ito, this is the class that contains or represent ASCII and Unicode character encodings. Or yung mismong abstract-based classes for converting blocks of characters to and from blocks of bytes. And also, ito yung system.text na to, helper siya sa class that manipulates and formats string objects without creating intermediate instances of string. So each time you want to use the text, so you need to write system.text. Okay, so this is for the compiler, or you have to indicate using system so that the compiler knows when it sees any classes like so yung mga duck class, and it doesn't know what is it is. It tries to check if system.class exists, parang ganun. Now, for this one naman, namespace RSA. So, namespace ang keyword na ginamit natin dito sa line na ito to declare a scope that contains a set of related objects. Okay? And ang namespace sa C#, guys, ginagamit para mag-organize ng mga classes so that it can be easy to handle the applications. So here, in our super simple C program using RSA, gumamit tayo ng system. So here, the RSA system is the namespace and program is our class. Okay? So dito naman, the static void main, close and open string args. So ito naman yung entry point method natin of this program. So these methods, it will get or called before anything else on this program. Now, to start with how to read the program, how to read the sample program. So unahin natin itong pagkuha natin ng bagong CSP or crypto service provider. Okay, so let's take first a new crypto service provider with a new RSA crypto service provider. So, ang RSA kasi guys, ang RSA keys, they're always generated in pairs. So, pag sabing pairs, edi yung public and private. And these keys are created in the constructor RSA crypto service provider. Okay? So, ito yung ating ginamit na constructor. So, ang crypto service provider, gumamit tayo ng constructor dito sa RSA's crypto service provider. And tinatawag itong constructor tinatawag itong constructor, both generate public key and generate private key. So, therefore, there will be two unrelated key pairs generated here. Okay, so you should, you should be able to always check this. Dapat lagi kasing ganito kasi when exporting parameters, the public component is always included. If they are not included or if they are not identical, then that would serve as a confirmation. So ngayon, nagawan natin yon. We have to define the length also. So ito yung length natin, okay? So ito yung ating key length. Now, how to get the private key and the public key? So next na step natin is we have to define the private key. So, itong statement na to, ito yung ating gamitin para mag-generate ng private key. And the next step is to define the public key. So, ito naman yung pagde-define or pagge-generate ng public key. So, for encryption, we pass in the public key. So, true for private and false for public. Okay? So, for decryption naman, we pass in the public key. Okay? So, next na step natin is we have to create a string variable. So, we have to create the string variable. So, ang ating variable name dito is public key string. So, public key string with a value coming from the static method or functions named getKeyString. Okay? And then next po natin is, after natin magawa to, punta tayo kay eto. So, punta tayo dito sa line na to. Ito yung next nating gawin. So, this is the serializes public key into XML format. So, kailangan natin kasi ng buffer. And take note guys, the string writer class sa C# is mainly ginagamit siya to manipulate string rather than files. Okay? Ngayon, balik tayo doon sa ating string private key. So, balik tayo dito. Okay? So, mag-create naman tayo ngayon ng variable which is string variable named na private key string with a value coming from the static method or function named getKeyString. Okay? So, yan. And then, after nyan, babasahin ulit niya to. Kapag nabasa niya na to yung private na to, nitong ating variable name, private key string, nakukunin niya sa ating get key string. Ang sunod niyang babasahin is yung ating variable string writer. So, ito yung babasahin niya na ibig sabihin, nag-serialize siya ng public key into XML format. And then after niyan, magra-write na siya ng output. It will write the XML output to console. So, ito yon. Okay. So, gagawin niya, sabi niya, mag-output siya ng from public key to console. Okay? And then after nun, babasahin niya itong mag-output siya ng from XML output, or it will write the XML output from private key to console. Okay? And then, magde-declare siya ng variable. Magde-declare siya ng variable dito, which is the variable named text to encrypt with a value coming from a static method or functions named generate test string. Okay? And after nun, kapag nagawa niya na yon, pupunta siya dito. So, magre-return siya ng custom string. Okay? And then, pag na-return niya na yung custom string, magre-read ulit siya ng ito. So, ito naman yung gagawin niya is to so, ito yung line na to is to write the text to encrypt, write text to encrypt value to console. Okay? So, ito naman yung isusunod niya. And then, after nun, syempre, kailangan natin mag-declare ng string. Okay? So, kailangan natin mag-declare ng string ulit, which is yung string variable name natin na encrypted text with a value coming from, again, the static and function encrypt. Okay? So, ito yung kailangan natin para makakuha tayo ng, or makuha natin yung value galing sa encrypt. And then after nun, pupunta tayo dito kay itong var bytes to encrypt. So, ibig sabihin lang nito guys, for encryption, to handle the bytes, it always handle the bytes wherein, so itong statement na to, or itong line na ito, it will returns an encrypted text to value of text to encrypt. Okay, so magre-return lang siya ng encrypted text value sa text to encrypt. Tapos nun, since nagawa natin yun, we have to, kukunin natin ulit yung bagong tawag nito. Kunin natin yung bagong CSP or yung bagong crypto service provider. Okay? So, kukunin natin to and yung niload natin na key. And then next noon guys, ang gagawin ni C#, so magra-write siya ng encrypted text. So it will write the encrypted text value sa console. And then after nun, syempre, kailangan natin mag-declare ng string variable named na or yung kailangan natin mag-declare ng string dito, which is yung ating variable named na decrypted text with a value na galing sa ating static or function na decrypt. Okay? So, itong line na to, ito yung decryption with private key. Okay? And then after nun, punta tayo kay itong statement na to, siya yung magbibigay sa atin or magre-return ng ating decrypted text value. Okay? So, siya yung magre-return noon dito sa ating wait lang. Saan yung decrypted ko? So, ito pala, sorry, naduling ako. So, ito ang magre-return ng decrypted text value sa text to decrypt. Okay? So, kung mapapansin niyo, ito naman, yung RSA form from XML string na to, ito yung server decrypting data with private key. Okay? So, yan po siya. So, para ma-obtain natin yung ating mga public key, syempre, gagamit tayo ng mga parameters and true para sa gagamit tayo ng dalawang parameters which is true and false para mag-return ng public and private key. Okay? And then, after nyan, balik tayo kay eto. So, balik tayo dito. So, ito yung statement na to. Ito yung magde-decrypt ng ating text. Kumbaga, it will write the decrypted text value ng decrypted text sa console. Tapos, next nun, syempre, so, wag natin kalimutan tong console.read. Ibig sabihin nito, kailangan natin mag-add nito ha. Ibig sabihin nito, this is to prevent console from terminating. Kasi pag wala tayong ganito, so parang magpa-pop up lang din yung ating console and then mawawala bigla. Okay? So, after nyan, kapag na-declare natin ng kompleto, so ready na tayo, and then run natin. So, wait lang natin siya habang nag-generate. Okay, so, ito guys, ito yung ating, sabi niya kailangan encrypt custom string, tapos ito yung encrypted text. Tapos, binalik niya ulit sa original na data, which is yung custom string. Kung mapapansin niyo hindi naman to umabot ng 2048 na keylength. So, siguro naman, kung bilangin niyo to isa-isa, parang hindi mo siya umabot ng 2000 something. Okay, so, that's all.